Hello, everyone. Welcome to our H-1B discussion. I am Sarah Benmouna, lead attorney at Loigica PA, and I'm here with Harry Tapia, CEO and co-founder at Loigica.
Hello, Sarah. How are you? Good. I'm glad we're here to talk about the new changes in the H-1B program.
Yes, I'm glad to. Thank you for your time, Harry. So I'll be the moderator today, and in this discussion about the new rule, we're going to discuss different topics. But before we jump and speak about the new rule, I wanted to ask you a first question. That is, how did the H-1B lottery work in the past, and why did senior engineer and entry-level hire have the exact same odds?
Well, in the past, what was happening was that if you were a senior engineer or entry-level hire, and you both had bachelor's degrees, you were slated under the wage level 1 category. Essentially, you would both be paid the same, and you would both have the same exact opportunity to be selected. Or if you were a wage level 4 worker and a wage level 1 worker, you both had the same chances of being selected. So what is happening now is that the system is now going to be weighted in favor of the higher paid worker, and typically that would be the senior level worker.
Thank you, Harry. So what problem was DHS trying to fix by replacing the pure random lottery with a weighted selection system?
Okay, so the problem is that under the Trump administration, it's trying to select in favor of what it believes to be the best and the brightest in the world to come work in the United States through the H-1B system. So the problem that it was identifying, that the Department of Homeland Security was identifying, was that if a person who should be paid at wage level 4 is being paid at wage level 1, then the system is being abused, because then essentially we're underpaying highly skilled workers at wage level 1, even though they should be paid at wage level 4. So that's one issue. And what this new system does is that it encourages employers to start hiring at wage level 3 or wage level 4 salaries. And the whole idea is to encourage employers to select in favor of the best people they can find, whether it's in Southern United States or elsewhere, to hire those folks, because the government believes that they will be better for our economy and for the H-1B system.
Thank you. Can you explain simply how the new wage level weighting works and what it means to be entered into the lottery 1 time versus 4 times?
All right. So this is what the weighted system is about. So as I mentioned earlier, the current system gives the same opportunity for a senior level worker and an entry level worker to be selected. Of course, we have the master's cap, which says that if you have a U.S. Advanced degree, you would be in that 20,000, in that group of 20,000, and that would help increase your likelihood of success of being selected. And if you weren't selected in that cap, then you would be put in the 65,000 person cap with all the regular caps or regular cases. That still remains true. But what the system does now is that if your employer puts you at wage level 3 or wage level 4, instead of just having one opportunity of being selected in the master's cap or in the regular cap, you'll have 4 or 3 opportunities of being selected in either one of those caps. So let's go with basics. Let's say there's a senior level worker who has only a bachelor's degree. Well, that person will have 4 chances in the regular cap of being selected, whereas last year he would only have 1 chance of being selected. Okay. Now let's say that senior worker has a U.S. master's degree. What it does, and he's being categorized under the wage level 4 wage level. That means that he'll have 4 chances of being selected in the master's cap of 20,000, and even if for some reason he's not selected there, he'll have 4 chances in the regular cap, meaning that the likelihood of success of that person is really, really high. If you're a wage level 1 worker now with a bachelor's degree, well, you only have 1 chance at the regular cap. If you're a wage level 1 or wage level 2, but let's say you're a wage level 2 categorized employee with a master's, degree, well, you have two chances in the master's cap, and you have two chances in the regular cap. And the weakest position employee will be the one who's a bachelor's degree, so he only has one chance in the regular cap. So if you're wage level 1, you have one chance. If you're wage level 2, two chances. Wage level 3, three chances. Wage level 4, four chances. And if you have a master's degree, you have whatever category you have, level 1 and 4, you'll have one chance in each. You have opportunities in each cap, whether it's the master's or the regular cap, at either a 4 or a 1, depending on where they positioned you at.
Thank you, Harry. So what does it mean practically when DHS says wage level 4 case has no lower over a 60% chance of selection compared to under 30% before?
Yeah. So what Department of Homeland Security is saying as of December 29th, just a few days ago, what it's saying is that this new system is giving certainty to employers that if you choose a wage level 4 employee, that you have a 60% chance of being selected. Whereas last year, whether he was a wage level 4 or a master's cap candidate, you always had less than 30% chance of being selected. So it's saying that choose a higher level, choose level 4 or choose level 3, and you're going to be likely at around the 60% likelihood of being selected. Whereas every other year you had much less. And I think in the past few years, you and Sarah, you and I working, I think we calculated at least one year where there was over 700,000 applicants that you had probably a 5% chance of being selected. So it's saying now that Department of Homeland Security believes that the wage level 4, you have a 60% likelihood of success, which should make employers feel very good that their candidate will be selected. Of course, wage level 3 will have a lesser chance, but it's probably going to be around 41%. Wage level 2 probably goes down to about 20, and wage level 1, I'm just guessing at this point, it's probably down to 10%, right? So it's encouraging you as an employer to select wage level 3 or wage level 4 if you really want your employee to be selected.
So how does this new system change employer strategy, especially when deciding job titles, wage levels, and whether to sponsor at all?
Well, it really makes employers have to think again about who they want working at their companies. And so the United States, now quoting the Federal Register and other sources from the White House and from Department of Homeland Security, they want employers to hire the best and the brightest. And so they're not closing the H-1B system. They're not saying don't hire foreigners. They're saying hire the best and the brightest. So it's saying to employers, like, if you really want someone, choose wage level 4 or choose wage level 3. But it hasn't closed off wage level 1 and wage level 2. Like, that still continues to be an opportunity for employers. Okay, it's just that just understand that if you're choosing wage level 1, you're much less likely to be selected than at wage level 3 or wage level 4.
Yeah, so strategy is going to become even more important.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would do a strategy meeting with the client prior as well to make sure that the wage level that you're selecting makes sense. Because even if you're going to give someone a wage level 4 job, but they really are entry level, there still may be some issues there too. So you still have to show why is the person qualifying for wage level 4.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of online calling about the pay-to-play system. Why does DHS reject that label, and what is the real policy goal?
Well, yes, DHS does reject the pay-to-play system, and it suggests that basically the system says it's only going to favor the rich or the strong or the best funded companies, and it's going to leave small companies out and unable to get the candidates. DHS rejects that label because it says that it's still giving opportunities to the candidates to be selected at wage level 1 and wage level 2. It's not like it closed off that opportunity. And also kind of thinking back about how competitive H-1B has been over the last 6-7 years that we've seen such a huge rise of H-1B, that we can say that the likelihood of being selected was probably, for many of our candidates, were around 10-15%. And I think that if you're employing someone at wage level one, wage level two, you probably still have the same chances as you did last year. It's just that if you can afford to pay at wage level three or wage level four, the government's telling you is encouraging you to do it, and they'll give you certainty that you will be selecting, will have that candidate selected. So is it a pay to play system? For some, it does seem like it. Facebook, Google, these companies will probably have a lot less difficulty paying a wage level four job than a small, a smaller mid-sized engineering company in the Midwest that doesn't have all the funds. But they still have an opportunity, and the opportunity is probably still the likelihood of success is probably the same as it was last year. So if you're a small business, I encourage you to move forward. Like, try getting your employee at wage level one and wage level two.
Thank you, Harry. How will this new system affect international students, OPT holders, and recent US master graduates who are trying to stay in the United States?
Well, the good news is that it shouldn't affect F1 students. So the OPT holders or the master's graduates, they're likely F1 students. And so the new system does not affect anything about their status. Like I mentioned earlier, if you are a U.S. master's graduate, you are going to be able to you're going to be registered in the master's cap and in the regular cap, just like we've done in the years past. The only thing that changes is, are you going to be slated under wage level one or wage level four or anything in between, right? F1 students, the OPT students are essentially ones that who have internships, and they're trying to get in with H-1B. So they should tell their employers that, hey, please give me a chance to get in. You can try asking for wage level three or wage level four, but likely if you're entry level, your employer is going to have a chance to register you at wage level one or wage level two, right? So we want your employer to try getting you in at wage level at least two, because it'll greatly improve your chances of being selected, right? But essentially, students, their lives don't change. It's just that if you're working for a bigger, better funded company, your chances of being selected at wage level three, wage level four will greatly improve.
Thank you, Harry. So we were saying that the higher the level is, the better chances are. Does this rule eliminate lower wage or entry-level H-1B or does it simply make them less competitive?
So the good news is that the rule does not eliminate the lower wage entry-level H-1B cases. So that would be wage level one or wage level two. It still exists. And I think statutorily, Department of Homeland Security cannot just eliminate wage level one, wage level two. If they could, they probably would have. And that's just my opinion. But in reading the Federal Register and the final rule that was published in December 29, they're saying that small employers still have a fair or reasonable chance of getting their wage level one and wage level two candidates to be selected in the lottery, and I believe it. I believe that that's true. It's just that now the system will help the companies who can afford wage level three and wage level four. The system will help them to be selected with more predictability than the wage level one, wage level two. But then again, predictability last year was pretty low, and the years before that has been pretty low. So I would say, if you look at it comparatively over the last few years, the chances for wage level one and wage level two probably remain the same as the years before. Wage level three, wage level four, their chances go way up now.
Thank you, Harry. Another question that we received is, what happened to small businesses and startups under this system? Are they at disadvantage compared to large, well-funded companies?
So that is one of the criticisms that this new program has. And it's possible that they're disadvantaged. But as I mentioned just a moment ago, last year, everyone was disadvantaged because of the large number of applicants. And the years before, they had even lower chances of being selected. So I think that small businesses will probably remain at the same likelihood of success as years past, whereas companies with much more funds can predict better that their candidates are going to be selected. That's the difference. Is it a disadvantage? To some degree, but comparative to the last 6 or 7 years, the small businesses probably remain at the same likelihood of being success. If maybe they have 5 or 6 candidates, but one of them is like at the wage level 3, wage level 4, well, you can at least count that that person is likely going to be selected. But if the other remaining people, then the other 3 or 4 are at wage level 1, wage level 2, maybe you get 1 or 2 more in, right? So let's talk about that strategy. Who must get in? They must get in. Let's put them at wage level 4 or wage level 3. If it's a nice to have, we put them at wage level 1 and wage level 2.
Thank you, Harry. Very important question now. How are nonprofit and cap-exempt H-1B affected by this new weighted selection rule? Do universities, hospital, and research institutions play by different rules?
Well, Sarah, the good news is that the nonprofit cap-exempt H-1Bs have always played by a different set of rules. They were never subject to the lottery. That's what they called cap-exempt. So the good news is that if you're an employer who qualifies under the nonprofit cap-exempt, which are usually universities, hospitals, research institutions, or nonprofits that have affiliations to universities, hospital, research institutions, then you are essentially unaffected by this change. Because whether you slate a candidate at wage level 1 or slate them at level 2, level 3, level 4, you're likely going to get the candidates approved, because it's not a matter of the lottery. It's just a matter of showing the merits of the case. The merits of the case. All lottery winners still have to show the merits of the case, whereas the cap-exempt nonprofit cases skip the lottery altogether. Don't have to worry about registering in March. They can register. They can petition any time of the year. So if you are a candidate for a nonprofit job and you want H-1B, you are in a better position than the wage level 4 employee who has to go through lottery, because they still have a level of uncertainty. All you have to do is just show that you merit this H-1B under the nonprofit. So good news, no change there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And last question is about the hot topic of the so-called $100,000 H-1B fees. So what is this fee? Who does it apply to? And how does it affect the lottery, or just certain employers?
Yeah, this $100,000 fee goes back to President Trump's proclamation, I think it's September 19th of last year, of 2025. And essentially what it was doing was, what it does is that it discourages employers from hiring candidates who have never been in the United States or don't have visas to enter the United States. It seems to be attacking consulting companies and staffing companies who were hiring low-paid workers from outside the United States who have never been through our university system to come and benefit from the H-1B program. So this $100,000 fee likely will apply if your candidate doesn't have an F1 student visa or some other non-immigrant visa that would allow them to change status. So if you're in the United States already, usually through an F1, or you have a different non-immigrant status and you're already inside the United States, you will be able to change status to the H-1B. Okay, but if, let's say, you're a wage level 4 worker, but you've never come to the United States, well, you're likely going to be selected in the lottery. But then when it's time now to go to the consulate, you're going to have to pay that $100,000 fee. The employee, likely not, it'll be the employer. So the employer is going to have to rethink, like, do I really want to hire this person? It's going to shift the system in favor of hiring from people who are already inside the United States, and it's likely going to shift in favor of students. And that's good for the students, because I think this change in the H-1B program, there was talk about that it will discourage foreign students from wanting to go to our schools in the United States. Well, this $100,000 fee says, if you're a student who has invested in yourself, or your family invested in you to come study in the United States, you don't have to worry about this $100,000 fee, because employers will be looking at you first before they look at the foreign worker, because they'll have to pay $100,000 to the U.S. government to even get that person in, and you're already in.
Yes, that's good news for U.S. students.
Yes, as a foreign student, it's still good news. So I would say foreign students, don't be discouraged. Come study at our schools. Like, we still want you here, and the system is showing signs that that you're still needed here in this country.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you for answering all the questions. I have one last question. That is, so when should the employer start preparing for the H-1B lottery?
All right, so they should start now, because the lottery registration will begin sometime in March, probably like March 15th, March 18th. We'll have more details about that soon. But in the meantime, the call to action here is that we want you guys to email us at logica@logica.com. So our first name at our firstname.com, logica@logica. Send us an email. We'll set up a call. Let's go through your strategy, and let's get your employees in for H-1B.
Thank you so much, Harry. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sarah. We'll talk soon again.